I want to start this video with, I guess, a history lesson of sorts. Let's look at this world map right here. This world map shows how many countries use the metric system, and it shows when they switched. The countries in green switched more recently, and the countries in red switched back in the late 1700s. So look at the world. There's only a few countries that haven't switched to the metric system. The United States is one of them. This one country called, I think it's Myanmar or Burma or something. And then there's this tiny little country right here in Africa. I don't even know what it's called. But as time has passed, look at how much of the world has switched. Why do you suppose the world would switch to using the metric system and other countries would drag their feet? Well, the reasons are very complex, but let's talk about what the attraction is, why somebody would want to make that switch. I think it's best to start with an example. Let's say that the nearest town is 8 miles away, and you'd like to know how many feet that is. Or let's say that you measured yourself with a ruler and you're 73 inches tall, and you'd like to know how many feet that is. These two problems, they're both doable. And to do the top problem here, you have to know that 1 mile is 5,280 feet. And to do this problem right here, you have to know that 1 foot is 12 inches. Those are things that most people know, in this country anyway. And to solve this problem right here, what would you have to do? You'd have to multiply the 8 by the 5280. And then to do this problem right here, what would you have to do? You'd have to take the 73 and divide it by the 12. So what we're doing here is we're talking about doing math operations, multiplying and dividing with weird numbers, 5280, 12. What are some other units in this country that we use? We've got 4 quarts in 1 gallon, so you got to multiply or divide by 4. What else we got? We got 2,000 pounds in 1 ton, so we're either multiplying or dividing by 2,000. I could probably go on for a while. Let's say 1 yard is 36 inches. So each one of these times, if you want to do a problem to convert these, you're multiplying or dividing by these wacky numbers, and it's just not easy. Now, let's look over here at the metric system that the rest of the world has switched to. In the metric system, we start off with what's called a base unit. And I'm going to give 3 of them. There's more, but just 3 is enough for us. The meter is what you'd use to measure distance. The liter is what we use to measure size or volume. And the gram is what you use to measure mass, or how much matter. So if you have those 3 base units, what you can do is you can slide up or down the scale. And as you do that, the problems are really easy because any one step in the next step, they're 10 times different in size. So let me explain with an example. Let's say I measure the thickness of a desk, and let's say that it comes out to be, no, that's a bad example. Let me come up with a different one. Okay, here we go. Let's say I measure from the floor to the ceiling in a room, and let's say that it's 3 meters. Okay, so each one of these other words here, these are called prefixes. And I don't really think it's that important that you know the prefixes. They'll come to you if you use them a lot, but what's important to know is that between any one step and the next, as I mentioned, it's 10 times different. So if I have 3 meters from a floor to a ceiling, that means I would have 30 decimeters. Okay, so you don't need to get out your calculator and multiply and divide by wacky numbers. You just need to slide the decimal one place to the right. So as you go down this scale, you slide the decimal to the right. So how many centimeters would that be? It would be 300 centimeters. How many millimeters would it be? It would be 3,000 millimeters. The scale keeps going. I don't know all the names for all the prefixes. You know, if you keep going, you wind up with micrometers and so forth, and it does keep going past there, but that's not the point for this video. The point is how easy this is. So let's go the other way. Let's say we had 3 meters, and we wondered how many decameters that would be. Well, if 1 decameter is 10 meters, that means if you've got 3 meters, you've got 0.3 decameters. How many hectometers would that be? That's one step bigger still. Well, that would be 0.03 hectometers. I hope that makes sense. These units this way are bigger, so you're going to have less of them. That means as you go up the scale, you slide the decimal to the left. Okay? Okay, so one more example before I finish. Let's say that to the next town, let's say it's about 13 kilometers. How many hectometers would that be? Well, it would be 130 hectometers. That's simple. It's that easy. How many decameters would it be? It'd be 1,300 decameters. What if we went up here to mega? Mega means, maybe you've heard of the lottery before. It's called, mega means millions. But it's it's 1, 2, 3 steps bigger than kilo. So if we had 13 kilometers, how many megameters would that be? Anybody have a guess? The answer would be 0.013 megameters. How did I do that? Well, I went up 1, 2, 3 steps. I put a decimal here and I went 1, 2, 3 steps to the left, and that's how I got my answer. So think about this. Think about if you were from some other country and you came to America. How long would it take you to learn all these little weird things that we do measuring wise? And then think about going from America to some other country that uses the metric system. How long would it take you to learn how to slide the decimal left and right? I think that does a good job of explaining why so much of the world uses the metric system.